And we are live. Welcome everyone to the Somnia Code Labs. My name is Emmanuel and I am with the developer relations team here at Somnia. It's my delight once again to be anchoring this session this week, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all wherever you are joining us from the world today. In this edition of the Somnia Code Labs, we will have a session on building interactive user interfaces using Ormi APIs on Somnia. And we are featuring a special guest from Ormi for this session. Hello, Vinet.
Hi, Manuel.
Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, thank
Before
you
we
for
get
inviting
into
me.
Awesome, awesome. Before we get into the session, please kindly share a brief introduction about yourself and what it is you do at Omi. Thank you, Vinet.
Okay. Hi, guys. So my name is Vineet. I am from India. I have been a dev, for the last 10 years. I have been in the crypto space for the last 5 years, dealing with all the big data that, all these big chains are providing. So I've been managing them, playing around with those. At Ormi, I'm a senior dev, and right now I'm handling the data APIs. I hope I will be able to give you guys a good demo about, how to use Ormi APIs for Somnia. So yeah. Thanks. Over to you,
Awesome,
Emmanuel.
awesome. Thank you very much, Vinet. Before we jump right into the session and then hand it over back to Vinet, a few ground rules, everyone. Please send in your questions via X or YouTube. And this session is streaming on X and on YouTube as well. Kindly feel free to rebroadcast the post so that it gets to a much larger audience. And for your questions, drop them in the chat, in the comments, and we would answer them at the end of the session. Please be civil and keep your questions to the topic being discussed. And you can also ask any other technical questions that you may have about Somnia or Omi. Thank you very much, everyone. Handing over to Vinit right now for the rest of this session. G Somnia.
All right. So let's get started. So let's start with giving a little intro about Ormi. So Ormi is basically a unified Web3 data layer for a bunch of web blockchains. We are partnered up with Somnia to provide, three pillars of our products. So first we have subgraphs, which our CEO Victor gave the last session about. Second, we have data API, which I'm about to give a little demo for. And third, we have also provide raw data just in databases. So let's quickly get into the data APIs. So in order to access data APIs, you have to go on to subgraph.somnia.network. Just log in with your accounts. I'll use my Google account. I've already logged in before, so it shouldn't ask for permissions. So, oh, it is. And here's the dashboard first. This is the Ormi dashboard on Somnia. So let's talk about data APIs. So data APIs are simple REST APIs which provide a bunch of data for underlying chain, right? We have indexed the data and we provide these various APIs across a bunch of categories to allow you easy access to the data that you want. We have got a bunch of blocks APIs. You can query blocks. You can get balances, transfers, transactions, NFTs, decoded events, and tokens. Today we'll be focusing on the NFT APIs, and I'll create a little a small demo about how to we can use these NFT APIs to create a NFT explorer. You just put in your NFTs collection address, and it should show you a list of all the tokens, all the NFTs inside that particular collection. So we'll be playing around with this API. Let's quickly. Okay, so I have not generated an API. So everything that we want to use the API with, you have to have an API key. So if you section, you can generate it. Hold on, yeah, create API key. Back to the data APIs, NFT tokens by address. Let's try it out. I've already found out a good NFT called Tactics Hero. So we'll play around with that. Let's put in the address, send the request, and here you go. And there we have the token. So we just take this JSON response and render a good UI around it. So let's get started. Okay, first, so this will be a Next.js based project. The reason that I am choosing Next.js is that it provides easily, provides us to create, APIs easily there and there as well. I don't want to create a separate backend because for security reasons as well. I'm just gonna, so yeah, I'm creating a next app here. So I'm gonna use the defaults. I'm gonna use TypeScript, yes, ESLint, yes, Tailwind CSS, yes. I don't want it in the source directory. It's just gonna be a small app. Yep, I'm gonna use the app router, turbo pack. Let's use the defaults. The project is initializing. And the reason that I chose Next.js was the easy capability to create APIs. And I don't want to call APIs in the front end itself because I don't want to expose the API keys to the world, right? So we'll keep the API key on the server side only. So yeah, we have got this project created. Let's quickly open it up. Yep, I trust the authors. All right. So in order to use some, pre-built components, I'm going to use shedcn. So let's quickly add that. Yep, choose neutral. Okay, so the project is more or less ready. So I think that the first thing that we should start with creating some APIs to get these tokens. So in Next.js, since this is the latest project, create APIs by creating an API folder and then defining the path via directories. We'll call the API NFT slash tokens, create a route inside it. Response. Okay, the way that you create an API is by defining a default exported function, which is so since we will be using a get request, we'll just call it a get API. We'll call the function get. Sorry. Now this request is just a simple, Node.js based request. We'll use that to access the parameters to get the API key and whatnot. Okay, so for the API, we need an API key. So let me put the API key in an env file. Let's call it env.local. We have got the API key here. Let's copy it and call it Ormi API key. Okay. So now we can use this Ormi API key. Yeah. Now we can use this Ormi API key in the request. So as you'll notice, I've not added next underscore public before this environment variable because I don't want it to be accessible in the front end side, right? So yeah. Let's first get the search params. So we'll pass on the collection address as a query parameter called address. And in order to get search params, we have to pass the request URL and create a URL object. Yeah. And the address would be call it collection address. Search params.get address. Let's create some headers that we're gonna send over to the backend. This is basically for including the auth header. So the way that you pass API key to the backend is by a bearer token. So and the way that you add a bearer token is using an auth header. Let's quickly add it. Got the headers here. Let's put it in a try catch block. Yeah, final URL would be, let's check the base URL there. Yeah, we want to get the NFTs, get NFTs by try it. Yeah. So as you can see, the base URL is here. Let's put it as a const as well. Now, paste the slash indent, there is no. Our chain name is Somnia. Replace it with Somnia. We don't want to use any other chains for now. And this is the collection address that we passed in as a search param. We've constructed our URL here. Let's use, so we are not using any other third-party libraries like Axios or anything. Let's simply use fetch because I guess that's enough for our use case right now. Let's send it. We got the URL and we have got the headers. Okay. Is it an async function? Let's also make this an async function because I want to await the fetch request here. Data would be, since it's all JSON data, just call the response rest.json method to get the data in a object format from the JSON. And let's return it and the way that you return it in Next.js is next response. I'll just use next response.json. And now if you got any error, let's just console log it for now. And you know what? Let's also send out a response that things didn't work out. There's an internal server error. Let's set some status. Yeah. Yes, this is looking decent enough. Let's also check for the response whether it's okay or not. Let's send the response in a similar format. It has occurred. I'm just creating a different message here just so that I can differentiate between the errors. All right. So yeah, I guess our API is ready. Let's create a simple page and let's start using it. Let's clean up the layout first a bit. We are creating an NFT Explorer. So let's set the description as Explorer. All right. I am not fan of light mode, so let's quickly add a dot class here. So this is all handled by Tailwind and Shade Scene also takes care of this dark class name, and everything should be rendered in a dark mode. We don't need all this. Let's get rid of the page. Okay, so our API was created in the API folder. As you know, in Next.js, everything is route based. So we are just creating this page at the root. So at localhost and whatever port that we have configured, it should be available there. So let's quickly create a container using emmet shortcuts here to quickly write some code. All right. Let's create some state params so that we can store our collection address. let's import it. We can also, since we also be fetching, let's also add loading state here. By default, I'll set it to false. We'll only fetch it when we press a button. So I'm just about to add a button here. Let's also add a default empty string for address. We'll also add a tokens to store our tokens. It's going to be a simple array. It's going to be a token array. Let's define the token type here as well. We don't want to use image. Let's get rid of it. We'll define the token in just a second. You know what? Let's just see the type here. Yeah, so this is the token. Let's define the type. We've got address, it's a string. We don't need ERC type. It's going to be ERC 721 just in case. We also support ERC 1155. So it could either be ERC 721 or it could be ERC 11.5. But I don't. But this is just ERC 721. So let's stick with that. Then we got token ID as a string, and we've got token URI, which is also a string. We got metadata. The most important thing that we are concerned about, we've got attributes. Attributes are nothing but traits in a JSON format. So we'll have to parse this JSON and then use it. We've got the image URI. This is what we are going to use to display the NFT's image. We've got minted block number. We won't be using this most of the items here, but I'm just adding it just for completeness sake. But if it's a number, we've got minted timestamp. The string, we've got name, which is a string again. We got symbol, this is again a string. Okay, so we got the tokens, we've got the container. Let's add some padding in it. P by 10, px8, also the mx2 auto. Yeah, I think this should be good enough. Let's also add a header. You should know what we are doing, right? We're creating an NFT collection explorer. Create a simple. Now let's add an input and a button to search. Let's create a flex. We'll make it not so big, so max width should be about LG. Let's start with this. Now for input, instead of styling and creating our own, let's use shadecn in order to add shadecn's component. It's a simple command. Let's just add input and buttons for now. Put the input here. The type is going to be text. It's also a placeholder. Value is going to be the address state that we created earlier. On value change, we also need to update the address when this changes. So we use the on change method and just set the address from events target value in events target. Yeah, that should be good enough. Let's also add a button to search it. Well, just added a button when we're adding input. So this is a simple button. We click. let's create a placeholder function first, then we'll add the actual fetching logic. We want to disable it. We want to disable it if it's loading. I guess, yeah, that should be good enough. Now inside the button, I think I'm going to use some icons. So let's quickly add Lucid React for our icons. It's called loader. Yeah. Let's add loader to icon here. We also need to spin it. And if it's not loading, we'll just show a search icon. There you go. All right, now it's time to set up our handle click function. We need to fetch the tokens and set it in the state. So let's start by clearing up the state. Set loading to true. We also need an error state. It's just going to be a simple string. Clear the errors. Clear the tokens as well, just setting it to an empty array. Yeah, that should be done. Let's put everything in try catch block. All right. Now we need to fetch it. So since we created the API under APIs, it's obviously going to be slash API slash NFTs slash tokens. Yep, NFT slash tokens, and we pass in the address as a source data. Yeah, so that should be good enough. Let's get the response. This is not just going. This isn't going to be a token list directly. This is going to be a token response which wraps tokens. So let's create a type for that as well. The type is we've got a cursor. So these APIs are paginated APIs. They are all paginated by cursors, but let's keep it simple for now, and we'll use cursor later on, or maybe in the next session. So we'll just fetch the first page and display it. In order to use cursor, you can either create an infinite loading, infinite scrolling system where as you scroll down, it loads the next page, or you can add a button that loads next page as you click on it, right? But we'll keep things simple for now and just load the first page and show that. All right, so I think let's keep it simple. We've got tokens, which is nothing but an array of token. Okay. My bad. Response.json does not take a type parameter, but we can use this. Let's set tokens to token response tokens. We're good to go. Sketch. For now, we'll just log the error. We also had this. Other way it is throwing errors. Let's make this function a async function that should get rid of the errors. All right, so we've set tokens. Let's set error to error message. Yeah. And if there is no message field in there, let's just print up a generic message, something wrong has happened. All right, so it's showing unexpected any. So we are using ESLint. Let's disable it for now. All right, so we have done our fetching logic. Let's also check whether the response is okay here or not, just in case. Okay. Of course, so I'm just using generic, simple error messages here in product, more apt for your use. So the token stuff, let's, yeah, if we have an error, let's display the error. Just use a little red color here to show us the error if it's there. And then let's just create a little grid for showing all of our tokens. Okay, just create a grid. Just make it call 4. It should be good enough for now. Let's map our tokens. Tokens cannot be undefined, can it? Yeah, okay, later. All right, so for we just map all the tokens and create simple cards. You know what? Let's just run it first and see how it looks without the rendering. All right. Is this an error? Ah, so since we are using these use states and other hooks, we need to make this a client component. There you go. Let's enter things a bit. Also add some margin. All right. Add some gap in here as well. Cool. Now this looks much better. All right, let's quickly create a. All right, so we also didn't show any loading state. If it's loading, let's just show the loader icon. Else we'll render our grid.
Hi, Vinit.
Okay, so since you're using a list here, the most important thing is adding a key. We've got token ID. Let's just use that. Okay. Let's try it out. Okay, we didn't add anything in the grid itself also. Let's add a gap. We don't want to be things to be too much too squished. Let's just display the token name for now. We'll add the photo also. So I found this address to test around with. Let's try with that. Okay. Ah, okay. So it's not supposed to be named export. It's just supposed to be simple export. Let's remove default from there. Okay, let's try it again. We pass in it. Oh, the address is empty. Of course, it's going to route. Okay, so when we get an error, we don't set the loading state to false. Let's just do that as well. Let's do it finally. Since we are testing with the same address, let's just put it as a default state for the address. Yep. Right, it's here. Let's try it out. It's loading. Okay, that's weird. No worries. We'll see what the problem is. I don't know. Let's add some background or something. Does it show anything? No, that's weird. Let's say the name is not there. We'll just call it. mm, Token ID. Name is not there. Maybe the name is not there. Uh, Okay, our spinner is not loading this. Hard this. It's calls, not call. Let's put it in a header just in case. Maybe it's in the wrong color. Yes, inspect and see if we are actually getting the APIs or not. Okay, so it looks like the API itself is not returning anything. Let's go back to our route and see what could be the problem here. Okay, maybe we need to define content type as JSON. Okay, let me put the base URL. It looks good. Let me just restart the server and see. So open up the network console so that we can check our API call. It's still empty. Okay, that's weird. No worries. We'll see what the problem is. Just print the data here. Let's see if they're doing the correct URL. Also, let's validate the headers too. Okay, things look fine here. So why the hell is the data not loading? Don't worry. Let's debug the data here too. Let's see if it returns anything or not. Ah, you have to await the JSON, just guys. No worries. Let's fix that. Ah, there you go. You can see the token names. Let's go and add. Let's go and show the pictures too.
Vinit,
Yeah.
can you please zoom into the IDE a bit more? Thank you.
It looks like my
Awesome. Thank you.
ID wasn't much legible. Thanks, Amanda, for pointing that out. All right, so let's go back to that. So we have created our API. Let's push it down a bit. Okay, so it's simple get API. We get the collection address from the search params. We send the authorization with the bearer token. We set the content type. We got the base URL and the API key from the Somnia Ormi dashboard. Let's get rid of the URL headers that we just added for debugging sake. Now we get the response. And if you didn't see it before, the error was that I was just not awaiting this JSON, which is a promise and not just a simple function, normal without, not non-async function. It is an async function. So now our data is working fine. Let's go and show some images too. All right, let's simple IMDS or CV. Let's simply ask. We want it to be square, right? Let's keep it square. We want it to take the full weight. We'll take aspect as square. We'll also, object fit as cover. Yeah, let's see how this looks. Okay. So yeah, so this is how we can use the API to show, all the items, all the NFTs in a collection. So right now we're just showing the name and the image. So let's also show some more details. Let's see the traits for these images, the attributes. Okay, so as I told you before, the traits, the attributes are there in the attributes thing, in the attributes param, and it's a JSON value. Now we'll just quickly parse those and show it as a table. Now, where do we show it? Just let's create a dialog and use that to show it. I'll just create a model, and on click of the button, it should uh, open up a model to show the various traits. Let's add dialog. Right, we also need to add a table. Let's also add a table quickly. And we need to handle clicks. Let me make the cursor pointer. What's it doing? On click handle here. So in order to open a model, we'll maintain a selected token state. So we have token or null. By default, nothing is selected, and we only show the model when something is selected. Right, let's quickly add a model. Let's go to FitCN, go to dialog. You know what? I already have a dialog somewhere. Let me find it, and maybe we can just use that directly. This looks good. Right, so I've already created a dialog before. This is going to be a token. All traits for now. That's going to come on later. All right, so this is a simple dialog. Okay, we also need to parse the attributes. I totally forgot about that. Let's create a function for that. Let's also define an interface for attributes. It should return a list of attributes. It'll be pretty simple. Let's since you already know that it's going to be a string, you can just return token dot metadata dot attributes. Of course, we need to parse it first. So, yeah. But so attribute has only two things: trait type and value. Just use these two, and value could be a string or a number. separator, neutrality. Let's start the variety cell as well. All right. We've got our model. Let's put it in the page. It needs some parameters. It needs a token, which is the selected token. Only for the model. If something is selected, is open when there is a selected token. On close, you just set selected to null. Okay, so when somebody clicks on our, no, we don't want somebody clicking on our grid. When somebody clicks our token card, it's then when we want to open the model, and the way to open it is set selected to the current token. Yeah, let's run it and see if this goes. Right, let's search it again. It's loading. Let's click it up. Some issues. Let me see what the problem is. Maybe it's issue with rendering it. Okay, token can only be by default will set it to null. Should fix it. Let's see. Okay, again an issue. So where are we using an SVG inside the table? We imported the wrong dialog, guys. We only want it from the shadescene components, and it imported it from Redux UI. That should fix it. Okay, table is not looking that great. Don't need this. Maybe we are not parsing the attributes correctly. Let's see. Let's clear this up. Open it. Attributes seem fine. Just check the table itself. We imported the table icon instead of. This is the guys, when you're auto importing, just keep a look of where you are importing from. Okay, now we have the table. We can see all the traits and the values. So this is just all of this is just using one API to get NFTs for a particular collection. There is another API that I want to share with you guys. Okay. Now, since we see the trade, we see the values, right? For all of these. I also want to show the rarity of these trades, right? So we have got another API called Traits API. Let's create that and use that to load all the traits and their rarities for a particular token. We'll call this traits, and it's going to be pretty similar to the tokens API. Just same address, we just replace tokens with traits, and our traits API is ready. Now let's use the traits API and load the traits with the rarities as well for the particular collection. All right. So I'm going to call both of these API together. Okay, I have an idea. Let's do tokens and traits as a promise.all. Let's create a separate function for this. Which tokens? It's going to be an async function for sure. We need to fetch it by address. It should return list of tokens. We return token response dot tokens. Now what's the error here? We have to wrap it in a promise, of course. Right. Similarly, we create one to fetch our traits. Just call it fetch traits. Yep, that's the correct API. It's okay. The response type is a bit different. Let me see what the response type is. So it's just like tokens. It's not a page related API. It's just a single API. So we'll get all the traits with their rarities. Let's define a trait type here quickly. And what do we have in traits? We got trait type, of course, like the first one, which is a string. Then we got trait values, various values for a particular trait. Let's just call it trait value. We'll find it later on. Which is a string. Count is the number of times that value, trait type and value pair has appeared. It's going to be number. And then we've got percentage, which is the rarity. It's number 2. Yep. So got our trait set up. Yeah, it returns traits and tokens. Now let's fetch both our traits and tokens. It's the address. We also need to set our traits, right? Create a similar state for traits. We use the same loading error and other state that we are using for tokens. So we've got our tokens set up, and now we are also going to set up our traits. All right, now we've got all the traits. Now we just need to show it in the table. So I just pasted the table and didn't explain to the guys what I'm doing. So this table is this dialog isn't doing much. It's just parses the attributes, which converts the JSON string into a parsable into JavaScript object and array of objects. When we just show all these attributes in the form of a table, we got table head, trade value. Let's also uncomment rarity. We also have to define a rarity function. Let's define a rarity function too. All right, what does it need? Trade type and value. Let's just pass in the whole attribute in there. All right, now in order to find the rarity, let's put it in so we have access to all traits here. Just change it to, just simply call it traits. Let's also pass the traits here in the model. By default, let's pass an empty array. Got our traits. We've got to find the trait. It's just going to do a simple lookup. Just need to match trait type to attributes trait type. But that's just not enough. We also need to match the value. Find the exact rarity. Let's return 0 here. Otherwise, if we found the trait, let's find the correct value. Okay, now the one of the values is only string, the other is can be both string or number. So let's convert both to string explicitly, just in case. And let's return TV is found if it's the percentage. Yeah. Defined a get rarity function. It just needs an actor now, not the trait type and values. Let's use this rarity. This is too much. Just get rid of it. Let's also format it. Just round it down. What do you say? Let's just round it down to two numbers. Let's put a check to rarity as well. If it's not defined, then just show an A. Otherwise, we show the rarity. Ah, okay. Not ready. Of course, I switched over the conditions there. Okay, now we have also got ready. Let's see if it works. Oh, every rarity is not available. That's not good. Let's see where we made a mistake. Hmm. Okay, let's first check if we are even getting the rarities or not, the traits or not. Just let's quickly log it. Let's check our console. All right, looks like we're not getting any traits. Let's see what's wrong with our traits here. Let's call it traits response just in case. It's not going to make a difference, but just keep things clear. Let's see if we are actually fetching the rates. Okay, so it's not returning any traits. That's weird. Let's quickly check our API. Things look fine to me. Let's see if we are getting any data here. I mean, but let's try let's try another NFT and see if that works. Or but it should have worked as well. Let's try something else. Deviation. All right, so we can see the rarity. So it's a little thing where we just forgot to change the contract address to lowercase. Looks like a bug. I'm gonna report it to the team, but it should have worked with any kind of casing, which is it was working fine the tokens, but for trades, I guess we need to explicitly lower it. But anyway, this is working fine. Now we can see the trades for the rarity for all the trades for each NFT. So this is this was a quick demo of using Ormi's NFT APIs. We specifically use the tokens APIs and the rarity, the traits APIs to get the list of tokens and the traits with the rarities. So this was it. Thank you guys. Over to you, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Vinit. This has been delightful to watch. And I think everyone will agree with me that the Dumbo gods were in our favor today.
Now, as
Thank you
you've
so much.
seen that the tokens API was also using cursors. You saw it in the response, right? And
Yes.
I guess we are running out of time right now, so I won't be able to show you how to use the cursor thing, but maybe it's a good exercise for you guys to try out next time.
Yes. And also for developers that want to like replicate this, how will they find this code examples that you used here?
Sorry, sorry, I was muted. If you're asking about the repository, we have already hosted the repository in our organization. It's a public repository, and I'm gonna share the URL with you as well.
Awesome. So you had it there. After this video, when you rewatch it, you would find that URL in the comments. So I think that's about it. We are like at the close of time. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to take any questions for this edition, but we'll look out for the comments. So if there are any questions, we'll always be able to answer them after this session. So typically, before we do close out the sessions, I leave room for our guests to one give us some takeaways that are way of advice for developers, and also to tell us their expectations for what they think is next for the industry regarding the particular tooling that they have demonstrated. So, Vinit, over to you. Word of advice for developers that are going to be testing out the OMI suite of APIs.
Yeah, so my advice is to really keep things simple. Go through the docs. Everything is documented. Try out things on the playground. We have got the playground over here uh, on some subgraph.somnia.network. Also, if you go onto Ormi docs, you'll find playground and more docs there as well for the data APIs too. So this is the URL. I'm going to also share the docs for both of these APIs after the call in the comments.
Awesome. So,
And
yes, go ahead, please.
yeah, and yeah, of course, if any issue occurs, I'm already here. I'm always there, and you guys can reach out to me or anyone from Ormi to help you guys out. Yeah.
Great, great, great. So you have access to Vinit's X handle. Please always reach out to him, connect. You can also visit the OMI platforms and reach out for there. The team is very responsive and always available to support. So just before we go, any advice for those watching us? General dev advice, please, Vinit.
My general dev advice is to start simple and try to keep things simple, right? And but as things grow, you have to move out. So for example, here you see that I was using the APIs inbuilt into Next.js, right? It's good for initial phase, it's good for prototyping, but as you're going forward, as complexities creep in, you have to think about not going for the simple solutions then. But yeah, starting simple is really good and it will really help you out, guys out to try out new things and play around with bunch of things that we have.
Thank you so much, Vinit. And that's a great way to close out today's edition of the Somnia Code Labs. We have had a delightful session listening to how to build intuitive user interfaces with Ormi APIs. And Vinit has been kind enough to do a live demo session. So this video is always available on YouTube. You can go back, rewatch it. You have all the resources there to start building out real-time user interfaces. And that is where we draw the curtain for today's edition. Thank you everyone for joining us. See you again at some other time next week.